Aloha mai kako, and come along with us as we, the Hawaiʻi SDG Youth Council, travel to Nice, France for the United Nations Ocean Conference 2025. On day one at the UN Ocean Conference, we attended a discussion based on legacy to leadership. We were able to learn more about the steps being taken by youth to preserve the ocean's natural resources. We were also able to meet different youth from all over the world, some places including Alaska, New Zealand, Sierra Leone, the Cook Islands, and the Solomon Islands, just to name a few. We were able to share about our mission and vision as the SDG Youth Council and what we hope to achieve by coming to discussions such as the Legacy to Leadership one. On our second day at the UN Ocean Conference, we were actually able to host our own panel discussion aboard the Waka Okeanos. The Okeanos Foundation for the Sea is a non-profit organization that is dedicated to empowering Pacific Island communities and youth in Europe. It was such a privilege being aboard the Waka and being able to share our indigenous perspectives with different like-minded people who were able to take into account the ideas that we were sharing. We were able to connect youth inclusion to culture and how that will overall benefit all of us globally once we start to have this collective mindset. After being panelists aboard the Waka, we were actually able to sit in on a panel that was based off of indigenous perspectives for the sea. On day 3, we were actually able to continue our discussion from the previous day 2 aboard the Waka again. We were actually able to share some actionable steps we hope to see in the future regarding ocean sustainability. After our discussion aboard the Waka, we hopped on a train and we headed to Italy and Monaco. We ate lunch in Italy and were able to see all the beautiful sights that Monaco had to offer. It was truly a great day of sightseeing. On day 4, we were able to board a different vessel and listen in on the Heirs to Our Oceans discussion. Heirs to Our Oceans is a youth-formed and youth-led organization with the mission to empower, educate, and connect youth globally. We were able to listen in on their actionable steps for a brighter tomorrow and more youth inclusion within policy making. After a quick lunch, we then headed over to the Green Zone at the UN conference. This space holds side events, workshops, interactive exhibits, and partner-led activities focused on ocean conservation. We were able to meet with different youth and explore different exhibits regarding the ocean. It was really awesome and we really loved it. On our very last day, we were able to sit in on one last panel discussion that was based off of local communities' initiatives. We also had the privilege of meeting Peter Thompson, who is the United Nations Secretary General's Special Envoy for the Ocean. He engages with various stakeholders globally, including policymakers, scientists, environmentalists, businesses, and communities that depend on the ocean for their livelihoods. He was actively involved in the preparations for this UNOC, so it was such a blessing and privilege to be able to meet with him.
Aloha mai kako o Elsie Kamanu ko uinoa, no oha mai au no Alomar waimanalo.
Aloha kako o Camryn makali ulani Alomar ko uinoa, no nu'uona mai au no Alomar nu'uanu, aia au makapapa umikumakai.
Aloha mai kako o Vau o Pilialoha Carlson, no kapale oahu mai au no Alomar kapale oahu.
My biggest takeaway from this conference was a feeling of hope. As we met with other youth delegates and indigenous peoples, we saw that there is a big movement to meeting the SDG 14.
One of my biggest takeaways from being a part of the United Nations Ocean Conference 2025 would have to be just being able to witness so many people from different parts of the world come together for the singular cause of trying to create a better ocean and a better world for our youth.
Biggest takeaway from the trip had to be the importance of emotion and empathy and overall just storytelling.
Often at these conferences we hear a lot about the issues that we are facing and it tends to become a really gloomy atmosphere. but being with all these hopeful youth and other islanders was really empowering.
This conference just really reminded me that it's important that we aren't just talking the talk, but we're actually walking the walk. We need to actually be putting action behind what we're saying, because we can talk as much as we like. At the end of the day, we can talk for however long we want, but unless we actually have meaning behind what we're saying, unless we're actually working towards what we are saying, nothing's gonna get done. And I think, all these people have so many great ideas. We can recognize the problems. We acknowledge these problems are happening. But what are our solutions to get through these problems? What are our solutions to fix these problems? That's what we need to be constantly reminding ourselves.
Another thing was just how blaringly obvious that youth want to work towards action. There was a Fijian man also on the Vaka who spoke about how many UNOCs are we going to need to have for true action to be derived from it. I think when we went to one of the events in the Blue Zone, it was kind of obvious how, at least to me, there was kind of somewhat of a lack of representation of Indigenous people, especially as that was the topic of the event that was taking place, but also how it's a lot of talking. And just with being, the amount of urgency that we have, it was somewhat, I did understand what he meant by that, how many more of these meetings are we going to need to have for communities whose livelihood and survival depends on the ocean to get the action and have things implemented to where they can survive and they can live in a flourishing ecosystem and community. So yeah, I think going forward from here, having that realization that stuck with me a lot. I think the youth summits that we held were great, but building off of that even more so should be a very big focus, and putting action that drives that's really important. I think now that we're going to start becoming the local 2030 Youth Council and being able to connect with people from different countries, I think that's even more of an opportunity to shift our focuses towards creating action and boosting youth engagement and even connection with the ocean and the land that which people live on, and hearing from the different experiences that they have, tying all back to, again, storytelling rather than just data. Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. So,
and thank you so much for watching the video. Please stay tuned. The issues we're discussing and the topics we're tackling are really important to the world, and we're so grateful that you're here with us. Thank you.